Hope is a therapeutic riding program. We're a nonprofit organization. We began in 2007 by a man named David Pointer. He had a vision for Hope to just come and serve the special needs community in Cullman by offering therapeutic riding lessons. Now we have 28 students weekly, and we've been here since 2015. My name is Kelsey Scott, and I'm the Executive Director at Hope Horses located in Cullman, Alabama. Hope is a PATH center, and it stands for the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship. For our program, our ideal student would be someone with a physical disability, so cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, Down syndrome. We serve individuals with autism. We have students with social, emotional, cognitive needs. We start at the age of 5, and then our age cap, what we've cut off, is 25. You want the best for your child, and the parents that we have in our program, every single one of them are incredible. Hearing their stories are, very moving and impactful. First off, when they come and their child walks out of the waiting room by themselves is huge. That provides independence for that child. Watching your child go from having to rely so heavily on you as a parent and then riding a horse independently, I've seen that's impactful. Once the student starts participating in the lessons, they'll actually come into the barn, they'll groom their horse, they'll tack their horse, then they'll go and they'll start in their lesson. So our students normally ride around 45 minutes. In the lessons, we teach the riding skill off of the rides levels. That's our goal, but we'll intertwine games and activities into the lesson to kind of reiterate the skills that we're learning. Some of our students, it may take 1 year to complete one level. It may take 4 years for a student to complete one level. We never rush our students. We're not about a quantity, so we're not about trying to get as many students in here as possible. We want to make sure that we focus on quality in our lessons, so making sure that our students are doing their lessons as safe as possible. They're building that confidence, they're accomplishing their goals in a timely manner, in a safe manner as well. One impactful part of a lesson, I guess you would say, that I've seen that kind of warms my heart is when you have a student with a wheelchair or a piece of equipment that they use to walk or to, get from point A to point B every single day of their life. My favorite thing to see is when they get on the ramp or they go to get on their horse and they leave that piece of equipment behind. In my head, that's, just something that allows that child to move and their body to move like we do every single day.
My name is Janica Suggs, and I'm Marley's mom. Marley is our 15-year-old daughter. She has autism and ADHD. And when she was young, she was diagnosed with hypotonia, which is low muscle tone. For kids with special needs, a lot of times you hear a lot of no's, and you get a lot of rejection and a lot of people who give up on them and who don't think that they're capable of things. I really wasn't sure what to expect and whether she would get to participate or not. We had a lot of times that there were limitations and she can't do the things that the typical kids do. I think I came in thinking she's probably not going to get to participate. For a parent watching them go through that, it's very discouraging and isolating. If you're not careful, it can become just your expectation to be told no. When we first started coming here, again, I really didn't expect her to get to stay. And even after her first lesson, I think I remember asking them, so how did you think it went? And they said, it went good. And I said, so she's gonna be able to do it? And they said yes, and at the time I didn't really understand how Hope was, that they did meet them where they are. I felt like they were gonna have expectations that she just didn't meet at the time. I had come that day expecting to call my husband again crying with disappointment because she wouldn't be able to do it. I'm pretty sure I called him crying that day, but it was not from discouragement. It was from hope. And that brings me to my favorite story to tell about hope. And that is that we don't live here, we live about an hour away. So I had to put it in my GPS because I didn't know where I was going. When we rounded the corner up here and were about to pull in, my GPS said, "You have arrived at hope." And to me, after I came and experienced it all, that was just perfect. And that's my favorite story to tell because to me that was true. And it's just how we feel about it here. It's perfect, it's hope, it's joy, it's something that she got a yes.
So Grow Hope is a campaign that we are in the hopes to kick off. The whole point of Grow Hope is to grow hope. Hope is actually the only nonprofit therapeutic riding center in North Alabama. Yes, over 50% of our students come from Coleman, but we are actually serving in Huntsville, to Hartselle, to Decatur, to Arab. We know that there's a need, but we want to do more. We are going to incorporate hippotherapy into this Grow Hope campaign, and what hippotherapy is when a physical therapist, occupational therapist, or speech therapist use the horse as their tool. So we will be able to offer physical therapy in North Alabama at our center. We'll be able to expand our therapeutic riding program. Our goal is to bring in more horses into our program, and one way that we have to bring in new horses is we need more pasture property. We're gonna hopefully purchase our current property and expand and add new paddocks to where we can bring in more horses. And when we get more horses, we can serve more kiddos. We hope to offer equine assisted learning opportunities. We hope to expand our camp and field trip services to our community as well. The cost of one lesson is $420. So we do charge our students a fee to ride, and that's $45 a lesson. And the reason why we charge a fee, so we're not therapists. There's no running anything on insurance. There's no getting a refund per se. Our organization is a true nonprofit organization, so we really and truly run off of community support, fundraising events. There are limited grants that we can apply for. I know $420 is, you're like, what all does that include? So we have 5 staff members. You want to be able to pay your staff because being an instructor and running a therapeutic riding center is a whole lot different than just going to a 8 to 5 job. Hope is a 24-hour, 7 days a week job. These horses need help on the weekends. They can't feed themselves. Since we do work with horses are expensive. And we want to make sure that we feed and give our horses the best quality care possible, because when you find an equine that comes into this program and is the perfect, what we call unicorn horse, there's a lot of little additives that are needed to make sure that that horse maintains their weight and muscle tone. So we make sure that we feed the best feed and supplements as possible. And also you have to factor in hay and water. And we go through around 700 bales a year of good quality hay. And then we also have to factor in electricity and water and everything else that makes, the barn run. So as you can tell, just based off of all of those little areas, every single donation amount really makes a difference. Whether it's $5 to whether it's $100, every single amount makes a difference.
Families who have kids with special needs, a lot of times the financial aspect of it is very challenging. A lot of times they have lots of appointments. Marley has, I think, if I counted right, 10 standing appointments every week. You have co-pays for all of those. You have travel expenses for all of those. A lot of kids have dietary restrictions that, bring more financial burden there. Hope offers scholarships, some limited scholarships for people who have a need for that. And for me, what I would love to see is for some really great donor to come along and make it where any family can have a scholarship and that all families can participate without that financial limitation and burden. We have being recipients of scholarships, and that has just lifted such a weight that we don't have to think about that, and we know that she will be able to continue to have this great resource. I guess for me, I'm very thankful, and I would just love for other families to get to experience that.
Along with Grow Hope, we're going to add a new office building, and then we will also have a conference room, and what that will be utilized for will be volunteer trainings, student evaluations, our staff meeting with parents in a private area, and then also a board meeting conference room area. We're also going to hopefully build a hay barn, and then we're also going to build a bulk shaving storage area. We currently have 5 acres of woods, and we're hoping to just expand and add additional trails, new little sensory station areas throughout the trails, and we're going to add additional paddocks for our horses to implement some rotation, some pasture rotation, so we're able to get the best quality grass here at our facility that's needed for horses. And then we're going to add a gathering area, so we're hoping to encourage organizations and businesses to come out to Hope and to utilize the facility, meaning having meetings and parties or maybe events that they need here at the facility. And then we're also hopefully going to be able to incorporate a classroom, like a building classroom outside of our current barn, and what that will be used for our camps and field trips as well. So along with also adding our small animal corral.
When the Grow Hope campaign is successful, then that means more capability, more confidence in different surroundings, more joy, more hope, less boundaries, and more open doors.
So if you're interested in donating, we really encourage individuals to come out to the barn, come for a tour, because we want to make sure that you see yourself why you're giving to Hope. Most importantly, we just ask everyone to please pray for us, because we feel that this is what God's called us to do, and we want to make sure that we have as many people praying for us and praying for the mission and praying that it'll be able to continue, because it's what we need. Hope is a true community-driven organization, and it takes everybody. Whether you're giving monetarily or in kindly, we want to make sure that you know that you're making a difference.